Hey everyone, welcome to the Ceres podcast. In this episode, Mark Petrou is joined by Warren and Sarah Paul from Paramount Creative, the team behind the Scottish Fish and Chip Awards. And with over 10 years' experience delivering high-quality events, including Scotland's legendary Italian Awards and the Entertainment Awards, they've built a reputation for events that are run properly with hundreds and hundreds of participants and winners. And after 3 successful years running the Scottish Fish and Chip Awards, they're now bringing that passion south of the border, recognising England's finest fish and chip shops and inspiring continued excellence nationwide. Before we get into today's episode with Sarah and Warren, a quick word about us at Ceres. Running out of stock at the wrong time is a nightmare. That's why at Ceres, we focus on the boring things: consistency, clear cut-off times, and orders getting out when we say they will. Most shops don't change suppliers because they're unhappy, they change because something went wrong. Our job is to make sure it doesn't. We supply fish and chip shops, restaurants and pubs across the UK with stock they reorder week after week, day after day. And when an order is due next day, customers know exactly when it's arriving. If you already know what works in your fish and chip shop, reordering shouldn't take any thought. You can find us at www.ceres.shop.
Warren and Sarah, it's really good to have you here this afternoon, and thank you so much for giving me your time. It's a pleasure to finally have you on. I've wanted to have this chat for a little while now.
Well, we're delighted to be on, Mark. Heard a lot about the podcast and obviously been listening to it intently over the last number of weeks, and we realise how big it is, especially down in England, and we're delighted to be here.
Yeah, well,
absolutely, ditto.
So, I'm really keen to talk about Paramount Creative and Paramount Events and your exciting plans for 2026. But before I do that, I want to first of all congratulate you on the Scottish Fish and Chip Awards. I've been a guest for 3 years now, and I have a fabulous time. I'd not been out had a night out in Scotland like that ever anywhere else, and to come to a place where and learn how well the Scottish celebrate and have an evening was great. But then to realise that it was actually the way that you do things, as much as the way the Scottish do things, was also a real treat. Before we can talk about any of that, I want the listeners to know a little bit about you two, and how you got to the point where you set up Paramount Creative and Paramount Events. So I'll just hand it over to you and let you tell me your story. I know, Warren, that you were born in 1973, so we're of a similar age. You're slightly younger than me. And you,
I must have got a harder paper round.
No, the thing is, this is for the listeners' benefit. This is the first time I've seen you not looking absolutely immaculate
without a bow tie.
I mean, the pair of you are always so well turned out, and I know that on your LinkedIn you've got this phrase "image is everything." But it's nice to see that you're actually not a robot, and that you are a human, and I want the listeners to get to see that bit of you as well.
This is the
normality.
Where we're in the trenches and we're working hard, with the team behind the scenes to make it happen. And we have a dress down policy in the office. Everybody's the very we want them thinking magically, about how we can transform these events and how we can be, a a leader in this field.
So you just glam up on show night.
Yeah. Show night is game night, you know, and
Yeah.
a lot of the kind of end production side is cabaret.
Yeah.
You know, when you take all the seriousness away, you know, we have to provide a show that people are proud to back and people are proud to return to and people are proud to attach themselves to it as well. And a lot of that's to do with making it magical because, like you said yourself, you've been the last few years and you're not up for an award. You're not a sponsor. You're there as a guest of an official partner.
Yeah.
And the way we look at the event is we want to base it exactly around you because you're coming, you don't have that extra excitement. I might win, I might not win, or I need to go network. You're just there as a spectacle and as a spectator. And we want to apply the event to you so that you go away and tell people, I was at a night, and let me tell you, it was a special night, and that's what the ingredients, how we start the whole thing, because we know that the award winners will think it's brilliant.
Yeah,
we know that the official partners will like it's great because their name's up in lights and they're getting to network. But it's for that individual who's coming, and there's quite a number of them in the room.
Yeah,
and they're not affiliated or they're a guest of a guest. And if they're having a special night, then we know that everyone else will find that it's great.
Yeah, a good friend of mine, another previous winner of Fish and Chip Shop of the Year, Gordon Hillen, was at the Italian Awards the other night, and there were 700 people in the room, and he was there just as a guest. He wasn't up for an award. He was there just to enjoy the evening. He had a brilliant time, absolutely brilliant time.
The magical night. That's a fantastic. Yeah, they all are, but
700 people.
Yeah. And I mean, the big thing about the Italian Awards as well, we've been working in that, running that for 15 years, and we run it in Scotland and we run it in England, and we just launched to go to London next year, the UK Italian Awards, to link it all together, and that takes place the 30th of March next year in Mayfair, and the Marriott in Mayfair in London. But yesterday it was just announced that they're a protected cuisine now. I don't know if you've seen it in the news, but the Italian cuisine has been given the first ever UN status as a protected cuisine around the world.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's a huge thing.
Because for us, we've been championing that with the Italian government and Italian agencies for the last 15 years, trying to educate people about mozzarella, you know, the difference between the different mixes of mozzarella and the cheddar mixes and how to try and stay sacred to Italian producers, because it's in our vested interest, because we want our event to be successful. We want Italian restaurateurs to be successful. So it's really exciting that it's been acknowledged by the world and the UN that it's now a protected cuisine.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it is. It's incredible.
But I think we will. I'll jump about all over the place, and just feel free to tell me. I've got ADHD.
No,
I've warned you.
Well,
at the beginning of the meeting,
why
don't you don't build all these events unless you've got.
Why don't we start first with you, Warren, and then I'll bring Sarah in, if that's okay. Tell me about your early life. Go as deep as you want, and how you ended up getting into how you knew that this was the thing that you wanted to do. And then Sarah, if you could do the same, at some point your paths must have crossed, and you realised that as a team you were going to be formidable. So you start, Warren, and you bring it all together, Sarah, please.
I'll start earlier. I've got memories of when I was 9. So my mum used to collect life insurance around the doors before direct debits. For some of our younger listeners, we used to have to actually go and collect cash from people around the doors when they were paying their insurance premiums. And every Friday, they used to incentivise us that we could go to the local fish and chip shops and we could get whatever we wanted, as long as we sat in the car and behaved ourselves throughout that period of time where my mum was going around the doors and the estates of Glasgow. And my go-to was what I call special fish. So in Scotland, we call it a special fish, and that's breaded fish and chips.
Yeah.
And my go-to is a special fish. We call it in Scotland a special fish supper, 2 pickles and a gherkin, and a can of Vimto. And I've been ordering that since I was 9, and I still order it. And there's 1 or 2 chip shops near us, and they'd heard me in another podcast, and they'd heard me talking about the same story about, you know, what I'd ordered as a 9-year-old, and I came in and ordered it, and the gentleman said, "You've been ordering that since you were 9, and you don't want to change, you know." But it's a ritual for us, and my kids make fun of me because anytime we have a fish and chip shop takeaway, they'll always say, "Same again, Dad." same again. And it's a ritual. It's a thing that, as I said, and it's a sacred thing that I hold.
You know what you like. You like what you know.
And if I can't get my gherkin along with my pickles and my Vimto, then
it's a sad day.
It's a sad day. But my background's quite humble. I mean, my dad was a builder. My mum was a housewife for many, many years. Me and my two brothers. I've got an older brother, Scott, who is mentally and physically handicapped. And he'll come and live with me once mum and dad obviously pass over. And that's the thing that me and my younger brother agreed from a really young age. My younger brother is an electrician. He goes away and does his electrical stuff. And I've went down a different route. And it's quite interesting because my dad's 82 now. And he always says to me, when are you going to get a real job? You know, your younger brother, he's an electrician. He's done brilliant.
Like a trade. He wants you to have a trade.
Yeah, he wants to have a trade. And you go about and you have coffees and you have meetings and you go to these events where tuxedo on. He went, you don't actually really have a job. Your job you don't have a job as such.
You've never got your hands dirty.
Yeah.
You like.
Yeah. And he always asks to see my hands, you know, and he'll say, your hands are so soft. You know, these are all cut to bits and I've got, you know, with stitches and all sorts of things over the years. But I started off, I left school at 16, no qualifications. And the head teacher got my mum and dad into school to say, look, Warren's got issues, he's got problems, can't really concentrate. And as I said, ADHD hadn't been invented then, so it was just a case of I was a naughty boy that didn't listen and pay attention. And they pretty much wrote me off. And I had to go and get a job as what's called a YTS, which is just like a low-paid job that you would go into the council or whatever, and they would try and train you up.
Yeah.
And they sent me to college for 4 years, and I did a business course over a kind of 4-year day release thing.
Yeah.
While I was at work, and then little bit on to me, I had entrepreneur. I had that in my blood, even though none of my family have got it. But when I passed my test at 17, I decided that I was going to set up my own landscape company, and I set up a company called the Lawnmower Man. And I remember coming in one night and my mum had these K's catalogue. I don't know if you remember the catalogue.
Yep.
Used to be able to order things out of them. And I got her to order me a strimmer and a lawnmower. And it was £520 or something for a petrol strimmer and a petrol lawnmower. And I'd agreed for her to pay, I'll pay up £10 a week. And my dad came in and went crazy. And he's going, what are you doing? You know, £500. This was back in 1991.
Yeah.
He says, how are you going to afford to pay this back? This isn't going to work. And during my work, I used to work late, and then I created a flyer. Sarah will laugh at this, but I used clip art to make this little flyer. There was no such
I remember clip art. We're the same age. I remember clip art.
A little stick man.
Yeah.
And the Lawnmower Man, and I created special rates for old age pensioners. And anyway, I printed thousands and thousands of these off of the photocopier at the office, and it was blue paper because that's all I had in this particular office. And then every night for probably about 3 or 4 months from January, I used to go out and deliver them through the doors, deliver the leaflets through the doors. And then it came to Easter and the sun came out this one time. It doesn't come out very often in Scotland. This one particular time it came out. And I remember getting a phone call into the office, and it was before mobile phones and everything. So there was one phone in the middle of the desk shared by 10 of us. And the phone rings and my manager answers it. And she says, is your dad on the phone? And I went, oh no, somebody must have died. Something seriously has happened. Yeah. Nobody phoned into the office because you weren't allowed to take personal phone calls. And my dad came on the phone and went, see you're a maniac, you're an idiot. This phone's ringing off the hook where people want their grass cut. and it was literally hundreds, because I must have put out maybe 8,000, 10,000 leaflets over this period of time.
Yeah.
And I was actually about to give up on it because I'm thinking nobody's interested. But obviously when the sun comes out, then grass grows. And I went home that night and my dad had £500 on the breakfast bar sitting. And I said, what's that? And he said, I want to get into business with you.
Ah, that's great.
And I paid my equipment off instantly. But what I did is I used that money to buy a trailer and then I bought more equipment, and then we built this landscape company to a point where I was actually having to phone in sick for my main job because I couldn't cope.
That's great.
And my dad sat me down, and again, I don't disagree with him now because I think we've found the journey.
Yeah.
But at the time he said, I think you should stick in at college and your real job and give this up because it's only a landscape job And, you know, if you go to college and you stick in at what you're doing, you could then maybe develop into something bigger than that. Now, obviously, I know landscapers now that are very, very successful. You know, I've got a few friends that are in that business. So sometimes I think, I wonder where I'd have been if I'd have stayed in that. But we stepped back from that. But that's when I had this kind of bug, you know, to work for myself.
Yeah.
But to fast forward a bit, I had a few different sales jobs, trained professionally as a sales guy and stuff. And then my friend got a job working for the Good Food Guide. And a dream job, absolute dream job. And he says to me, they're looking for people. Are you interested? And I says, oh, I don't know if I could do that. I'll cut. So he was in a restaurant in Glasgow, quite a famous restaurant called the Amber Regent, a very, very upmarket restaurant. And he said, I'm going in to review the Amber Regent. Would you like to come in? And I walked into this restaurant with him, and he got the red carpet, and they were bringing all these dishes out. Try this, mister, try this. And he's writing all the notes down and taking photographs. And this was the day before the internet. So this was when you had to go into these books. You know, the Good Food Guide, you bought it in Waterstones, you bought it at the airport. It would be in the bedrooms of hotels. But if you were in hospitality, if you weren't in these type of books, you were invisible.
Yeah.
Nobody could, you know, you'd arrive at a hotel in whatever in the UK, Manchester, I want to go out for something to eat. You'd be asking the concierge, or you'd be referring to these books. So they were very, very powerful in their day. So I went home and I didn't phone him back because I thought it was a wind-up. I thought he'd actually, it was that unreal that it was like a spoof. So I went back and just got on with my job. And then 2 or 3 weeks later, he phoned me and he said, look, are you interested? And I went back out and visited him in another restaurant, and it was exactly the same again. It was like unbelievable, you know, the red carpet, whatever you want, you know. So I went and met the gentleman that ran the company, and he was half American, half French. He was very aloof, the guy, that red jeans on and an orange shirt and all this kind of stuff, really wacky, but clever guy, but a bit detached, but really clever guy. And I worked with him for 2 years, and he gave me the job for run the whole of the UK for him. So all of a sudden I was in charge of 18 cities. Wow. And then 18 sales managers that were operating in all these different cities. So I got to travel the whole of the UK, and it was just an unbelievable experience. And I don't believe in luck. People talk about luck through their life, and I don't believe about luck. I think that everybody gets opportunities, but not everybody sees them, and not everybody's prepared to, you know, to make the jump sometimes. And it was something that I decided to do, and it was one of the best experiences I've ever had. And that got me into publishing. And then but I think the mistake that the gentleman made is that he gave me everything. Because I was such a young guy and had so much energy and I wanted to take on the world. So next minute I'm running this production team, dealing with all these graphic designers, I'm putting the book together. And then I start thinking to myself, I should be doing this myself. Why am I doing it for him? And what also happened was it was very one-dimensional, so it was only restaurants. But as time was going on, I was thinking there's a missed opportunity here. We should be adding bars into it, add nightclubs into it, add transportation into it, add museums and visitor attractions. You know, give the reader a bit more. And he said, no, we're not doing that. You know, we're going to stick to the tried and trusted. And our sales figures were dropping, and our advertisers were dropping.
As social media takes off, and as
this was just before that. There was a lot of talk about just basic websites getting built and stuff.
Yeah.
And so I decided to launch a thing called the Entertainment Guide, which was basically like his product, but a modern version of it. So a bit more younger audience. A bit more, diverse, a lot of more different types of businesses in it, and it flew. And because obviously we knew what we were doing, so when we launched it, it just flew, and we did that for 10 years. And then, from our point of view, 2008 came, and that was the credit crunch. So a lot of businesses that we'd been dealing with had overdrafts. You know, there was lots of money going about at that time, the good old days, I call it.
I remember 2008. Yeah. I've almost blocked it out, but it was a very painful time for me. So yeah, I remember it very clearly.
Us as well, because what happened is businesses that had been working with us for 10 years, and we would go in and see them, and they'd go, same again, we'll do it again. And it literally was effortless. You just send them I used to fax them over an order for them, and they'd fax me it back, and job was done. Yeah. And then all of a sudden overnight, the budgets are frozen.
Yeah.
We're not advertising anymore. And at the same time, it coincided with the social media and a lot more people advertising the internet. So I'm going to spend money on the internet. I'm going to spend money and update my website, Warren. I'm going to spend money on social media.
Yeah.
So effectively overnight, we became defunct. We became a dinosaur in a modern world in a very, very short period of time. And my business partner at the time was a bit delusional. He thought, no, we'll fight through this. It's just a difficult period of time.
Just a blip.
Yeah, and I was looking at it and thinking, well, you don't go from 1.3 million to 250,000 overnight.
Yeah.
That's not a blip. That's somebody switching the light off. I mean, you're a dinosaur.
Yeah.
People have moved on now. So we had a great relationship in hospitality built over a long, long period of time and a lot of trust. And we used to sponsor events. So myself and Sarah would go to events and not with a view to going into events, just because we would sponsor them for people to advertise in our publication.
Great for networking. Great.
Yeah. And I used to go to them all the time, and as you do, and I'd say, I don't like that. That could be better. I don't really like the way they did that. I don't like the way they did that. And Sarah will maybe disagree with this story, and the artistic license, we call it. But I remember on one night with a couple of wines, and a couple of drinks, as you do at these events, and she said, if you think you can do it better, you should do it yourself, or words to that effect. And that's what we did. And we launched the Scottish Entertainment Awards back in 2012. And I remember going into the Hotel, and I went into the biggest ballroom in Glasgow, which is where you were, and I met the general manager. And I said, I want to bring an event here. And he says, how much experience have you got in running events? And I says, none. And he says, and you've came to the biggest ballroom in Scotland. He says, you're either extremely stupid or you know something that I don't. He says, but either way, I don't want to get you to sign this contract. I'll introduce you to a couple of smaller hotels out with the city. And I said, no, I want to do it here. I believe this is going to work. And he wouldn't entertain it.
Really?
So fast forward a number of weeks later, eventually he said, right, okay, well, you're more foolish than I thought. And he handed me a contract and I signed it. And then about 9 months later, with 680 at the first ever Scottish Entertainment Awards.
Beautiful.
And he came over to me and he said, I don't know how you've done it. I don't know if it's hire a friend or where these people have came from. He says, but he said, I've got to hand it to you. He says, because what you've created is something really, really special. And that event's now in its 15th year. We've had Martin Kemp. Martin Kemp was there last year. 2 years ago. We had Venga Boys last year. We've had Lulu at that. And we've got a lot of celebrities and a lot of people that actually contact us and want to come and perform at it, because that's a hybrid event. So that's bars, restaurants, nightclubs, hotels. It's a real combination of everything together.
Yeah. It shows their talents and their skills. It probably gets them more work as well when they do a gig like that.
Yeah.
Sarah.
Yes.
Go and fix everything that Warren's just said.
That's what I normally have to do. I was wondering how long it was going to go on for us. If it was going to start younger. It's usually what happens. It could be a while. Well, obviously, I've not got a Scottish accent, as you can hear. So I'm originally from a little town called Bury St Edmunds.
I know.
It's not so little anymore, actually. Now I've gone down. It's not so little. It's.
I think I might have gone roller skating there once.
Rollerberry.
Yeah.
Rollerberry was the best place to be. I don't know if it's there.
It's still there. Sure.
Is it still there?
It is still there.
It was next to a Brazilian's nightclub, which I think is gone, definitely.
I've never been there.
2
left feet.
I spent many a night there. So that's where I'm originally from. And I moved up to Glasgow 24 years ago, I think, or 22 years ago, something along those lines. So there might be a little bit of Scottish slipping in now and then when I talk.
There is a twang. You're definitely more Scottish in your accent than Suffolk.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah. Some people think I'm Australian sometimes.
Yeah, well, I can see why. Yeah, it seems like it can move
well. So I moved here. My background is design and marketing, so that's where I come from. So I did a BA Honours in graphic design
at Cambridge School of Art.
In Cambridge School of Art, yeah. And I moved up here not long after that, actually. And I got myself a job straight away in a trade magazine, hospitality magazine. And then me and Warren's paths crossed when we were doing the guide, when we started doing the publications. So, and that's where we met. And I was going to say the rest is history, and that'd be short. And I did all the design and marketing for that side of the business, and started getting involved with the events and things when that all happened, and we came up with these ideas and come up with new concept, come up with the logos, come up with the whole concept behind it on the background part of it all.
Okay.
So
I have a list of because obviously it's my job to I do actually do some work before I have my guests on, and and I've got a list of some of the things you've hosted. The Italian awards in England, Scotland, and Wales. You've been doing that 13 years. The Scottish Entertainment Guide you've been doing for 25 years. The Scottish Italian Awards, it's in its 12th year. And as I said earlier, you had 700 guests there. The Entertainment and Hospitality Awards, 14 years. Prestige Hotel Awards, 9 years. Scottish Home Improvement Awards, 11 years. So the picture that I'm trying to paint is this isn't your first rodeo. No. And from my listeners' perspective, they've heard about these new guys that are coming down from Scotland. They've done the Scottish Fish and Chip Awards. They're going to want to launch something in England, and there's more to you than meets the eye. You're not, this isn't, like I said, this isn't your first rodeo. What was what made you, first of all, launch the Scottish Fish and Chip Awards? What was the rationale? What was the thought process that got you heading down that path?
I'll let Warren answer that one. Right.
So we've run the Scottish Italian Awards, as you mentioned, for a long time. Within the Scottish Italian Awards, we have a Best Fish and Chips category. And that's because the Italians came over in the 1950s, early 60s to Ireland and England and Scotland. And we have a massive community, I think about 80,000 Italian Scots within the west of Scotland.
Yeah.
And they predominantly worked in fish and chip shops and gelaterias, cafes. So there's a huge community there for that. So when we launched the Scottish Italian Awards and we did our market research, we realised that a lot of Italian families were wrapped up in fish and chips, literally, no pun intended.
Yeah.
And we'd huge traction, and we've worked with a lot of fish and chip shops in Scotland in an Italian circle for the best part of 13, 14 years. But what was happening when the voting campaign was working and the public were voting for the favourites is we were getting non-Italian fish and chip shops applying. And I think about pre-COVID 2019, which was when we wanted to launch the Fish and Chip Awards, just before COVID came, we had about 800 chip shops registered that were not Italian and could not enter the Scottish Italian Awards.
Right.
So we did a bit of due diligence. We had a look at the market, and we first of all thought, well, who's doing things to represent Scottish fish and chip shops in the first instance? And we felt that looking at the kind of whole of the UK, Ireland included, and so forth, we felt there was a slight under-representation of Scottish fish and chip shops, and there was an opportunity there. If bearing in mind the goodwill that we had in the fish and chip industry, we were already working with a number of key partners in that sector in Scotland. We pretty much knew that industry. So it was a natural rollout that we felt, also looking at the demographic, we're a family business, they're a family business. Family businesses tend to be very driven, very passionate, very emotional types of business because it is their life. Like this is our life. So there's a lot of similarities, and a lot of them are really highly successful. And the next thing after you become highly successful is you're looking for recognition. Because once you've bought the BMW or the Mercedes or the whatever car you drive, or you've bought the nice watch and you've been on holiday 2 or 3 times and you've got some money in the bank, you then want someone else to endorse that, and you want an organisation, or you want that extra recognition from the national press saying that you're good at what you do. And that means the world to people. And that's where it came from.
Yeah, great. Well, fish and chips is different in Scotland, and I think the Italian Scottish fish and chips as a subsection is also different because they do marry fish and chips to, I'm going to call it ice cream, you can call it gelato, but their shops have a certain flair as well, don't they? They like to Italian themselves. They like to show their heritage in their shops as well. The decor is slightly, I think it's got that flair. It's got that Italian that
I
Italian
think they're huge ego, huge
Yeah.
personalities within themselves, hugely passionate and hugely patriotic. We talk in the UK, in Scotland sometimes, obviously in England, about patriotism, and being proud to be where you're from. And I think the Italians epitomise that. At the Italian Awards, we have them, they stand for the national anthem, the Italian national anthem. And some of them are crying at it because their hometown is maybe in Naples or Sicily or whatever,
Yeah.
but they happen to be in Scotland, but they're at an Italian event with Italian brands, Italian menu, Italian entertainment, and it's just creating that magic. But I think it comes back to, as I said, it's highly driven, passionate family businesses, and I think the fish and chip industry is made up of thousands of these types of families,
and an opportunity to be more inclusive, to so that you don't leave anyone behind. These 800 shops that were not Italian heritage, and you've got on your books. Sarah, how do you market something like that when you and Warren decide, here's a really great opportunity for us? What's the process? How do you move?
Well, for the Scottish one in particular, like Warren said, we started designing and doing the marketing back in 2018, 2019, to create the logo, create the brand. As soon as we come up with the idea, we just start work on this logo and making the logo epitomise like what it is we're trying to promote. And I think that, I always think maybe because I'm a designer, my point of view, that's what stands out when you see a lot of our branding. It's, we try and keep epitomise what that industry is about right from the start, right from the logo.
Yeah.
And we've I've got hundreds of pieces of paper where I've drawn it, scribbled out, started again, and just to make and we try and sort of from there, we have some of the awards have their own theme behind them.
Yeah, I mean,
as well, so that can help as well.
You have a lot of categories, but I think that the Scottish fish and chip menu, although you guys deep fry pizzas, you deep fry haggis, you deep fry Mars bars, you do have some, like the specials, like the supper, like the tea. I didn't know that there was a fish and chip tea, and as well as a supper and as well as a special.
That happened to me when I first moved to Scotland, because I went into a fish shop in Edinburgh, and I didn't know that a single fish meant you get two fish and no chips. So I was so confused. I think I've asked for a single. Why have I got two of them? So a single means you get two fish and no chips.
Yeah.
So that just blew me away.
But you recognise those in the categories, because again, as a non-skirt wearing southerner, when I first came to Scotland and I saw all the different categories, I was a little bit not confused. I just thought, how many awards are they giving away tonight? But to the people that are up for an award, they specialise in they're happy to be recognised for their special. They're happy to be recognised for their tea or for their supper or for their singles. And there are a lot of award categories, but the Scottish menu is quite it's quite different to what you get. I mean, down south you get your curry sauce, you get your peas, you get your curry. But it's not like the Scottish fish and chip menu. And it took me probably the first year, my impression was, you come up to Scotland, you start at the bar, you drink, then the entertainment comes on, and then you drink, and then they give out some awards, and then you drink, and then you soak up the alcohol with some food, and then they give out some more awards, and then you finish at the bar. And I thought, but it works. My goodness. But by the end of
I just say there is water stations at our events as well?
For me, it was a culture shock. The second time I came, I thought, you got it wrong the first year. Talking about myself, I got it wrong the first year. And what is actually happening here is this award knows its audience. This ceremony knows the people in the room. and it only took me my second visit to figure that out. And when I came to the third one, I felt very at home with everything, apart from Aldo Zilli, who I met in the worst place. I met him in the toilets.
Oh.
But it was amazing. The third one, I can't wait for it to come round again, and that's what got me excited about it. You guys come in June. You used Des Clark on the award ceremony. I want to talk about Des in a while, but you, I guess, selling this idea when you came up with it was an easy sell for you. I know you've got you've got a lot of support for this event. Tell me about what goes on in the background, because I turn up and everybody's looking pristine. The evenings themselves go so well. What do you guys do in the background?
A hell of a lot of work, Warren. A lot of work.
Yeah, I mean the day-to-day is not sexy, and it's hard work. We obviously, the basis of the event is public vote. So there comes a period of time, we can go through the dates later with regards to Manchester, but in Scotland there's a particular date. Normally it's National Fish and Chip Day. That's when the voting opens. We use that as a platform to drive awareness of fish and chips. And then the public get to vote for their favourite fish and chip shops across Scotland through our portal, through our website and through our social media channels and through the link. And we give them free voting material to drive that. And I think that the public are the key driver here, because the public know best, because they're going into these fish and chip shops all the time, and if they're very good, they'll vote for them, and if they're not, they won't. And ultimately, there comes a point where we collate the votes, we count the votes, we verify the votes, IP addresses and so forth, because sometimes we get, wee Paddy might be sitting there, voting for himself, and that's absolutely fine as well, but I don't think it's very fair, and I think that we want it to try and be a true reflection of the public. So we double check all that, and then we shortlist it, and that's then when we go and visit them. But with regards to it being easy when we brought it to the market, I don't know if I'd describe it as easy. I think that we're highly experienced in working in these events. And when we first launched, there was one or two chip shops did speak to myself and say, well, you're not qualified to judge fish and chips, and you're not a fish fryer, and etc., etc. And I said to the gentleman, well, you're absolutely 100% correct. We are not. We are a professional event activation company who run multiple ceremonies across the UK for many, many, many years. And what our job is to create as much excitement, profile in national press and local press and social media activations as possible. And if we can deliver that, we will then bring experts in who do know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
We'll bring celebrity endorsements in, we'll bring in a panel of people and judges, and we'll go and taste the food. Because I think that was a key thing for me as well. It's like, picking winners when you've not been in the premises or you've not actually tasted the food. For me, it can leave you open to, where people would say, well, they never tried my food. So these were mechanisms that we looked at the time, where we felt that we had to address and really try and push that side of it. And then obviously when we're going in to visit these businesses, we're getting in with a CV that's tried and tested over many, many years, so people can go like yourself and do due diligence and look at our company and go, well, I see that they're sponsored by the Italian Awards, I see they're sponsored by Moretti, I see they're sponsored by Aperol, Campari, Maserati, the Italian government, the Italian Tourist Board endorse this product. So it gives you comfort.
Yeah.
A contestant. And equally with fish and chips, when we launched it, I couldn't believe it from the industry support, because we always expect the industry maybe to take a step back for 2 or 3 years and just assess it and have a look at it. But straight from day one, the industry, because again we were linked to fish and chips through the Italian Awards, I just felt that straight away the industry were,
embraced it.
Behind it in a really, really big way. And what I would say as well is that, we work with a number of partners, and we want to work with everyone. For us, it's much bigger than us. It's about the fish and chip industry.
Yeah.
And we don't have any particular alliances to particular brands. We want it to be as inclusive as we possibly can. And we think that, the idea, the old-fashioned idea of a little club, and we're a wee members club, and we look after each other. I think we see it as we want to be friends with everyone. We want to work with everyone for the greater good of the fish and chip industry. And for that local family that might be in Bolton, or the local family that might be in Bury St Edmunds. We want to really drive awareness of fish and chips, and I think we've achieved that in Scotland, and we're going to apply the same ingredients to Manchester, and we're pretty confident that, you know, England will embrace it.
Yeah, I think in all seriousness, the robustness of the judging is probably the one thing that my listeners will be pleased or encouraged to learn about, because you know that we already have an award system in the UK, a national fish and chip awards that was run by a government body. It's been around for a lot of years. I actually won it, and the robustness of the judging in that is, I mean, it's next level sort of stuff. But I think the fact that you bring in independent people to do it, and that you let it work on a vote system is really, I didn't know that. I've only ever seen you handing out certificates and making people, putting them in the spotlight, making them famous in their own postcodes. And because you're so regional in how you give out your awards, and how advertising and social media has come on in the last few years, you're actually able to do that. You're actually able to spread the love, and I would say it would be harder for you to create a national champion, or to, but regionally, what you do is very successful at a local level with the general public and with shop owners.
I think
it really works.
That's exactly right, and I think that local level is, because ultimately when you strip it all back, what we have to do, what our obligation is as a business is I call it the happy circle, right? So let's be honest with the listeners, right? We're a commercial business. We're not a government body. We're not a charity. We're there as a commercial business to make money. And we're partners and sponsors, and there's a number of them on the website, and there's a number of these household brands that the fish and chip owners will already work with. They get an opportunity to work closely with us and work closely with getting introduced to new fish and chip businesses and to existing fish and chip families.
Yeah.
And equally, the fish and chip businesses and families, they get the opportunity to shine. And by regionalising it, all of a sudden, it's their customers, it's their own market and their unknown market, i.e. their competitors, that are getting to see them, and it's getting to grow their business. And we've got customers. I spoke to one last week in South Lanarkshire, and he says to me, "This is as busy as I've been in 30 years."
It's great.
Now, that is a big statement, because I'm old enough to remember 30 years ago, and I'm old enough to remember fish and chip shops when there wasn't any kebab shops, there wasn't Indian restaurants or Indian takeaways and Chinese takeaways. It was pretty much the fish and chip shop was the go-to place.
Yeah.
For him to turn around and make a statement like that is sensational.
It's powerful.
But I think we're very, we're you know, in the media is a big part of what we do. You know, knowing your responsibility, and we know that we need to get the local press involved. We know we need to get the national press involved. And we've done that really successfully in Scotland, and we've done it really well in England and Manchester as well with the Italian Awards. And Manchester Evening News, they write about their winners in Manchester because they're proud of Cheshire and, you know, Greater Manchester. Whereas you've got the Liverpool Echo talking about their winners, and Liverpool saying, well, we're the best because we've won the best restaurant in the Northwest or the best restaurant in the Northeast. So it's just the mechanics of how we do it. And again, everything regarding the mechanics is to try and drive awareness of fish and chips to the absolute max, which ultimately increases suppliers' orders, because the fish and chip shops are ordering more because they're more successful, and ultimately is putting more money in the till for the local fish and chip families.
Yeah. Is there anything you want to add to that, Sarah?
Me? No, I think he's covered everything there. I was just nodding away. I'm just sitting here nodding.
So
I'm really, it's just, for me, I'm just really, really excited, obviously, to go back to my home country and bring it all there, and bring our, you know, just show them everything what we can do.
So what is your campaign to bring that magic that you've created in Scotland? How does that travel down? Because it is a different market. It's a completely different menu, a different dynamic, different demographic, and geographically, it's quite a bigger area as well. It's a big step to to bring something down and to spread that love all over the UK. I'm excited for it, but I want to know what do you see as the real challenges? What are the road bumps, and how far along are you? I know you want to do this in June, right?
Yeah, I mean, we official voting opens 5th of January. Registrations have opened since November and are going very well. We'd actually a number of restaurants, fish and chip shops in England registering for the Scottish Fish and Chip Awards.
Really?
Having to send them an email to say, we're really sorry, but this event is only for people in Scotland. However, we will be coming to England. But just a couple of points. One, in the UK, it's not a UK event. The event that we're running in England is the English Fish and Chip Awards, so it's England only.
Okay.
Unfortunately, at this point, it excludes Wales and it excludes Northern Ireland, who are also part of the UK, and it also excludes Scotland. So the way we see it is, to take your point, the geographical, enormity of it. Although Scotland is 2/3 of the landmass of the UK, there's a high concentration of obviously people in shops in England, significantly more than that of Scotland. But we've got a big experience of knowledge in the last kind of 10 years in Liverpool, Manchester, Newcastle, Yorkshire, Birmingham. We've done a bit in the south, but predominantly it's been that kind of middle England, from Birmingham and above. We do have a category added in that is for the south of England, so we will have people who want to be represented in the south of England will be able to enter the competition, and it will be regionalised in that way. It may be in the future that Wales and Northern Ireland become something that we want to expand into. But for us at the moment, we're completely laser focused in England with the final in Manchester. And yes, it represents a number of challenges, but we've already got a number of partners already signed up with us who have got big databases and big loyalty within certain parts of England. And obviously we'll be working alongside our partners, social media, and we'll have boots on the ground. We'll have a PR team that will be visiting across England. We'll be doing a campaign with voting material, which we give free of charge, which is posters and tent cards and point of sale for people to encourage their local customers to vote for them. Social media assets that they'll be able to promote on their Instagram, their TikTok and their Facebook. We'll be tying in with multiple influencers, food bloggers. There was many of them at the Scottish Fish and Chip Awards that are English, predominantly food bloggers, who are really keen to work with us. So it is a big job. We don't underestimate it in the slightest. But we'll have a lot of time and energy and resources put into making it successful. We don't do anything, as you've been before, we don't do anything half-hearted.
No.
We believe passionately in what we do. We believe that a lot of people in England are similar. I mean, the further north you go, the more similarities there are with that Scottish drive and passion and so forth. But I think even having spent a lot of time in southern England, every chip shop that I visit when I'm down visiting family, they all think they make the best fish and chips.
Yeah.
And they don't, but that's the good thing about it.
Not unless they breadcrumb it and serve it with pickles and a Vimto.
Well, when I go to England, as Sarah said, it's quite different. The cod and the way things are done is quite different. And people have asked me, and I'm sure you'll ask us if you're not, is, what do I prefer? And I know that Sarah prefers fish
cod.
And chips in England and cod.
Yeah.
And I prefer what I have in Scotland, but that's only because it's what I know.
Yeah.
I don't think it's anything to do. I think there's a lot of quality. A lot of quality down south, and I think that, as I said, the ingredients that we need is drive, passion. But another point that you made as well, which was really important, is social media. Yeah. It's transformed our business.
Yeah.
When we launched way back in 2012, there was we done our first event without Facebook, without Instagram.
Yeah.
It was just basically a website and going out and visiting people. And we will do that. We will have boots on the ground and we'll have people out speaking to people, and the phone will be ringing and the emails will be going with people asking questions. And I hope that this podcast goes out to as many people as what I think it will, because a lot of the questions can be answered quite simply. It's built on trust. It's built on long-term relationships. It's built on transparency. Winners who don't win can get a scorecard return with comments, constructive feedback on how to improve. And we've had many, many years of people coming to us initially and never winning or coming close, and eventually improving to a level where they win. And that's a journey in itself. And then also when you win an award, people come to us and say, I've won an award, that's me, I'm going to retire now. And I'll say to them, well, the next journey now is to become multi-award winning. Because you're an award-winning restaurant, or you want to become a multi-award-winning. But there's always a journey there. And as I said, now because of social media, you can monetize it now. You know, I mean, you put things onto social media like you've become a winner of a national award. You can make a lot of money. I mean, some of the restaurants are quoting £250,000 is what it's worth to win in revenue. So it's a significant, you know, and the fact that it's free to enter.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those things that is likely to polarize opinion. There will be some people that that hold the national awards as the official awards and what they do, but I think they do something different. I think in order to even qualify for entry, you I think a lot of people are put off entry. I mean, I consider myself, and I've said this many times, a fourth division club that won the FA Cup. My shop is very ordinary. Maybe every good shop took a year off the year I won. I don't know, but I do think that the existing awards will always have the title of the official awards, the prestige, the fact that there is only one trophy to lift, that and it does cover England and Wales and Scotland, and it absolutely has its place. But there's absolutely no reason why you can't do what you do, because yours has a different. It just hits differently. It lands differently. It is targeted for everybody's own local audience, and it shines a light on so many shops that are doing well. How do you feel about slotting in? There's actually a third award system that's already in place in the UK called the Fry Top 50. And yet again, when they came along, there was a little bit of a pushback, and it was polarizing. But everybody accepts that being in the top 50 now is a really cool thing to have. And I actually think there is room for you, and I think you're going to fit in just fine. Because I know how you do things, and I know that it's going to be really good. Even as a champion of the other award, I would probably enter your award to see whether my fourth division club still got it. You know.
Well, you're more than welcome. I think going back to the national awards, we are totally respect that. You know, we are in the same industry as they are, and they're the market leader, and they've been about for a long, long time, and they deserve everybody's respect. I think we are very similar with the fact that we want to champion fish and chips, and I believe
that's the most important thing.
That's the real winner here, isn't it?
That's the real winner.
That's the real winner.
What we will definitely do, what I can 100% guarantee all your listeners today, is that we will go above and beyond to drive awareness of fish and chips. And as a result of us being in the market, more and more people in England will eat fish and chips. That is an absolute guarantee. And we've seen that in the last 3 years. Fish and chips in Scotland has become the number one cuisine once again for takeaway. And it was losing its place because Chinese and Italians and everyone else was eating into it. And it needed someone to become a champion of it. And we are a champion of it. And our other organisations, like you've mentioned. And we don't see ourselves in any shape or form there to replace them. But no. What we will offer is something different.
Yeah,
we will offer a platform that people can look at it and think, well, I don't need to join an organisation to enter. So I don't need to join. I can enter for free. They'll look at our marketing, and they'll look at the way we go about things, and they'll look at how, and it's quite significantly different from anything else, because other organisations and other different industries that we work in don't believe we should trust the public. They think that the public should not be trusted. What do the public know? And we tend to think, well, I think the public know best, because I think the public eat out, and they're a lot more educated now than you would ever imagine when it comes to food. And if they're voting for people in a big way, it's because they believe they deserve recognition. They believe that they want to shine a spotlight on them. And we completely embrace that. And if what I will say to you as well is, you'll never get to a final of any of your competitions if you've not entered and you've not pushed for votes.
Yeah, I can honestly say the five, and I'll talk about the five best fish and chips I've ever eaten. Certainly three of those, for various reasons, would not do very well in the national competition, because they're all about producing really good fish and chips, or they're all about their customer service. And my experience of what makes them so special isn't the fact that they tick absolutely every box. They couldn't, and they've never entered Fish and Chip Shop of the Year, but they deserve that moment under the spotlight. They deserve that, that you're amazing that moment, and I think that's what your award does. That you can recognise the shops that are just bloody good fish and chips. That they may not be the most modern, up to date, but they are the guys on the ground that are making fish and chips still such an important meal.
And the other point you made about Fry's Top 50 and the shortlisted for the national event, there's 15,000 fish and chip shops in England. 15,000. So we don't need a massive percentage of the market to be successful. We only need people to engage that believe and see the value of and want to be recognised. We are searching for the best. We want the best, but ultimately, for the way our mechanism works, the public will decide. The public will tell us, and these shops will then ask their public and their customers to vote for them. So I think we will end up with quite a different selection of fish and chip shops, like fourth division. Like the FA Cup. That's how I see it. We are like the FA Cup, and I think that the little guy gets the chance, and if he's good enough, when he gets to the final, then he's got a chance of winning. And there's no politics. Our sponsors are banned from getting involved in the voting process. We do not allow sponsors to get involved in judging. No influence whatsoever. We don't allow finalists to sit beside judges or any of that, because again, it's cross-contamination. Reflects badly on the brand. Reflects badly on us as an organisation. And
in each category, sorry to interrupt, in each category as well, you don't just have a winner, do you? You have finalists, so 5 people get an opportunity to actually say, I was a finalist, and then you have highly recommended, which is better than third, which is better than second. Highly recommended is really good. I love that phrase. And then you have a winner of that category as well. So everybody, and if you're promoting that you're highly recommended, you're promoting it to your audience. So using social media, using your local paper, getting the support from you guys to do that as well, a certificate and the recognition is so powerful, isn't it?
I mean, the highly recommended can be commercialised. People coming, the word runner-up, that's something that we analysed a number of years ago. And runner-up, nobody wants. I've asked you who was the runner-up in the championship last year. Unless you're a fan of that particular team, no one knows. And the fact is that no one cares. And that's a sad fact. But what we realised many years ago is that highly recommended means that it allows the judges, because we get a situation where judges will say, there's literally nothing in it. There's nothing in it.
They're so close, you can't.
And they say, but we want these guys to be acknowledged. We want these guys to have the recognition that they deserve. They're not the winner, but they're very, very good operators. And that's a concept again, and it comes back to what our obligations are as an organisation. Our obligations are to drive awareness of fish and chips. And get everybody talking about fish and chips, get everybody excited again about fish and chips. And that's what I believe we're going to be able to do in Manchester.
Sarah, what do you see as different to hosting it in Scotland? Do you, because you're a southerner like me? Do you from a marketing point of view and from a creative point of view, what are you changing to?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, obviously we've done a few down in Manchester and Leeds and things, so we're aware of the audience already and knowing what they're. But I wouldn't say there was a huge much to change. I think they're still gonna put on an amazing night like we always do. We'll put everything into it. We'll put in the entertainment acts and an amazing dinner, and of course all the it's a huge amount. Doesn't change that much, but we'll maybe look at different types of entertainment perhaps, but it's still going to be an absolutely magical night. We'll put everything into it like we do in Scotland.
So I said that I would bring talk about Des Clarke again. He's a great compare, because not only is he a big name up in Scotland, but he really does control the audience. He keeps the focus on the awards. He keeps everybody in check, and he does. I don't know how he doesn't go and sit and rock in the corner afterwards.
I think he does after it.
He is so good, isn't he?
He's very good. Yeah. He's like you say. He's smooth. Like he controls the whole room. And for us as well, it's we've worked with him for many years, about 15 years now, is it, Warren? And it's just a smooth pair of hands. It just for our point of view, when we're trying to make the night, as you can imagine, keep on time, keep everything moving. We've got timings for dinner and everything else. Yeah, he's fantastic at being able to do that.
He's allowed to come over the border. He's going to be there.
Yeah, I think he's really keen to work. I mean, Des obviously is a BBC personality. I mean, he's hosting Hogmanay up in Scotland this year live from Edinburgh, and that's the most prestigious job that anyone can get in the BBC in Scotland. And he does a lot of work in England, and he's hugely passionate. Spends a lot of time in Manchester. He's a big fan of the football down there, and he wants to do it. I think probably we'll work with someone alongside him that's maybe a northerner or someone, maybe, I'm not mentioning the names at the moment, we've got a few names in the pipeline, but maybe a female that could possibly work alongside them that's Mancunian or somewhere in the north.
I hear Tess Daly's looking for a job. I mean, I think she lives in Bolton.
Yeah, there's a few. So but as you said, I think that it is a bit different when we do it in Manchester. There's a few tweaks and categories will be different, as you mentioned. I think we have what we believe to be a test set of categories that are going out, which will launch in January. But ultimately, the public will tell us. The fish and chip shops will tell us. And we'll have boots and PR teams down in the ground. And if we've missed something, and maybe it's scraps, or maybe it's crispy bits, or maybe it's a particular pie, or maybe there's something that we've missed, then we'll rectify it. That's the thing as well. We have the mentality that it's not our ball and nobody's getting a shot of it. What we're talking about here is a family. We're talking about a community. We're talking about building something that everybody in the industry can be proud of. Every fish and chip owner, every supplier, the national press, local press, regional press, and you have to listen. And I think that's one thing we've done really well in the last 15 years.
We're always welcome to we always love to hear people giving us feedback, and then because we'll listen to it and we'll learn from it. And that's what we've done.
Yeah, fish tea was never something that I'd thought about. I mean, and then I realised that a lot of people go out and the fish tea is fish and chips, mushy peas, bread and butter, slices of bread and butter and a cup of tea. But it's massive up in Scotland. So again, there was a huge drive to, my fish tea is the best, my fish tea. And I'm like, we need to create a category for this. So, but to come back to your other point as well about the number of categories, I think in the highly recommended and the winners in the room, I think what we've been going through in Scotland is a process of acceleration for 3 years.
Yeah.
And what we wanted to do was to interact with as many fish and chip shops across the whole of Scotland as we could. I think we interacting with nearly 1,000 fish and chip shops last year. And when you consider there's 15,000 in England, it's quite exciting for us that, it shows you where we can go with it. But, it's listening.
Yeah.
It's listening to these guys. And it may be that in Scotland next year it'll be harder to qualify for, because we're looking to reduce the categories. We're looking to do a few changes in Scotland, because now that the awareness is so high, it may be that some of the categories and reduce that down a bit to make it a bit more difficult to get in, so it makes it more prestigious again. But I think in the initial first 3 years was just really getting everybody to talk about fish and chips again, making sure that these fish and chip shops, some of them are struggling, are now doing well again. And I think that was the key driver behind this, is to make sure we generate as much publicity as we can.
Yeah, it's really worked. We are, as an industry, battling high raw material costs, the price of fish in particular, and the availability. Not just the cost of it, but actually being able to get some. It's a challenging time. So, does that have has that had an impact? Does it have an impact on the take up do you have to compensate there? I mean, it's you're free to enter, but surely everybody has to cut their cloth accordingly.
Yeah. Yes, you're right. I mean, what you're talking about there is a conversation that we have daily with, fish and chip owners, energy prices, stock prices. We're speaking to a number of frozen at sea businesses at the moment, and again, a lot of people, certainly north of the border, are a bit anti-frozen at sea. And again, it's an educational thing because, it's frozen fresh at sea. They go from 0 to -19 degrees in a blast freezer on the ships. So there's an argument to see how fresh is fresh, and that's another conversation for another day. But I think that fish and chip owners are having to diversify. They're having to get into different markets. In Scotland, we now see them making pizza, which is hugely profitable. There's a huge margin in pizza. So it's about that compensation within the business evolution. Some of them are selling ice cream now. They're selling pancakes, waffles. Lots of different, diversification to survive.
Yeah.
And I don't see that as being any different in England. Regarding the pricing and so forth, we'll take a view on that. We haven't set anything in stone. We would expect that there'll be a discounted ticket, for people to come along on the evening. We want people to come and be recognised, and we don't want price to be a barrier. And for us, we're quite successful in that it's not, we're a commercial business, but it's not the be all and end all. The event needs to be successful, and we will do whatever it takes to make that successful. And if that's looking at the ticket prices and stuff, when the time comes, we'll take a view on what the economy looks like. But I take your point. It's tough times, but there's two ways of doing it. Do we lie down and give up, or do we roll our sleeves up? And I think that a lot of the fish and chip families will have already rolled their sleeves up, and they're heavily invested over multiple generations, and they're never going to give up. They will be there fighting to the very end, and we want to be there beside them to make sure that we can try and help and try and raise the profile as much as we can.
And any help you can give any chip shop along the way to raise their profile and to reinforce to their customers that they're doing a good job has got to be good, especially at this time. You say that you're a commercial business. You're also a family business. I know you've got two daughters that are in further education. One of them shares the same name as my daughter. She's called Imogen. And your son, Mitchell, is also in the business already. Obviously, that means you're going to, you're not, and I'm going to use the pun, you're not a flash in the pan. You're not here. This is, this might be your first trip over the border for fish and chips, but you're going to be around for a long time to come. So we better get used to you, right?
Yeah. I remember when we launched the Italian Awards back in 2012, I got a phone call from the Italian government to come to London. And I describe it as a mafia. There was 12 Italians in a room and myself coming down from Scotland myself. And it went a bit like, we'll take it from here. Was how the conversation went. And we're going to launch the Italian Awards ourselves now. We don't really need you. And then I explained to them that, well, look, we're not going anywhere. We're here for the long haul and everything. And we're going to invest a lot of money into this project. And you are a not-for-profit organisation and you are limited with resources. And I went to put my jacket on to leave the meeting. And then I turned back around and I went, listen, why don't we work together? Why are we fighting? I said, I'm not from Italy. I don't favour Sicily or Naples. I went, I want to just put a robust operation on that highlights the best people in the business and the hard-working people that deserve recognition. I went, you want us to promote the Italian tourism industry, you want us to promote the Italian business industry, we'll do that free of charge, but you need to be promoting it for us. And I think that's the very same way we see it in England. As I said, there'll be pushback from some other organisations and maybe some businesses that think that there's no need and there's not a gap and whatever. We believe there is a gap. We believe that there's 15,000 fish and chip shops. That's a lot of fish and chip shops. And even if you include the other two events, it's only a couple of hundred fish and chip shops that are getting any sort of recognition. So I think there's a massive opportunity and a massive gap. And I think that Manchester as well is the media hub.
Yeah.
People talk about London and this and London that. Maybe 10 years ago. But if you took you to Salford Quays this afternoon, every major television channel, every newspaper group, they're all in Manchester.
Yeah.
So when I say that we believe we can generate huge PR for the fish and chip industry, it's not going to be that far for us to go because these guys will be invited along to Manchester and it's only 5 minutes along the road for them in the tram. So I think Manchester is that media hub in the UK is exactly the place that the event should be taking place. And that's exactly where we're going to be in the 22nd of June next year.
But going back to what you're saying, like with the family, we're so passionate, and the girls are, and Mitchell is, and we just want it to be a success, and that we live and breathe it. So all the girls do as well. They get involved in the events. They come along to the events. They help out at the events.
I feel as though I should say Eva Marie is the other daughter, because if I don't mention her name, I feel as though
she's following Martha. She's going to be going doing design. So she's going to university to do digital marketing design. So that's what she wants to do. So she's following behind me. So hopefully she'll know a little bit more than I do. She'll know a lot of the younger stuff that I'm still learning.
You two are going to go play golf, aren't you?
Well, we don't play golf at the moment.
I don't play golf.
Something that we take up in the future.
Yeah.
At the moment, this is a hobby. Yeah. This is, people ask us what do we do. This is our life.
We love it. Yeah.
We live and breathe it, and I hope that can come across, because
we've got a fantastic team behind us. Yeah. They're absolutely amazing. All the guys that work with us, couldn't do it without them. Okay. They really are. They are.
Well, I resisted speaking to you before today, although I've been in your company before, and you agreed to do this podcast. I wanted it to be just natural and organic, and just whatever comes out comes out. And so we didn't speak much before today. I'm not going to let you go just yet. I've got a few curveballs to throw at you, because I wrote down just a couple of questions. I thought, let's see whether I can get you to open up. So, what was the most challenging ceremony you ever hosted? Which was the hardest one? Or what's the worst thing that's happened at a ceremony? And what did you learn from it? So you must have had a moment where you've looked at each other from across the room and gone, get me out of here.
There's a few. I'm just wondering which one he's gonna pick.
Come on. Give my listeners something.
Don't name which award ceremony it was.
There was this particular. So first of all, what we've got to kind of pre-qualify is that this is live.
Yeah.
It's not television. You don't go cut, make up, right? We'll run again. Yeah. So when things go wrong, it just keeps running. So if the wheel comes off,
it's spectacular.
Yeah. So one event I was at, it was Des was hosting it, and I had a magician. And he had live doves, and he actually keeps them in the house. They're pets of his. And he have them up the sleeves of his jacket, and he makes them magically appear and disappear, and it's brilliant. I mean,
it's his life. He absolutely adores these creatures.
I'm a big fan of this magician. I've booked him hundreds of times, and I remember Des is about the big build-up, talking about him and about to invite him on, and the hand comes out from behind the star cloth, and the fingers like that pointing, telling him over, come here. And I'm looking about as if, is he talking to me? And I goes over to the side of the stage, pulls the star cloth back, and this magician's standing all cloaked up. And I went, you'll need to delay Des. I went, what? Delay Des, I think my dove's dead. So I goes back to this curtain, and I shout, Des is about to announce him on, and I says, Des, quick one. I says, go into stand-up mode. He went, why? I went, the dove's dead, right? And Des is looking at me and going, what? The dove's dead. And he goes into stand-up, and it's like a 10-minute routine he'll do, talking about different things and making people laugh, right? Because he's a comedian.
Yeah. So this guy is distraught because these are his, they're
his life.
So I just back and sits at my table, and I'm quite close to near the curtain, and I'm sitting going, what am I going to do? That dove's dead. Right? And next minute, the hand comes back out from behind the curtain with a thumbs up, like that. So I goes back behind the curtain, and I went, is everything? It's fine, it was sleeping. and I've had to go to the side of the stage and say to Des, the dove's not dead, the dove's alive. And this is all happening in real time. And Des is going, what? And he invites him up, and then Des comes off and sits beside me and goes, what happened there? It went to sleep. He says, but I thought it was dead. Oh,
that's brilliant.
But no, good fun. But yeah, we've had other problems. I mean, obviously timing. Sarah mentioned timing earlier. If you imagine cooking for 500 or 700 people, which is an absolute amazing job that these chefs do in these hotels. They really do, because it's got to be hot and everybody's getting served at the same time. It's not an intimate 10, 20 seater restaurant where the chef's getting to cook one meal at a time. You're cooking for 700 people. And timing's very important. But there's a couple of times in the kind of last 15 years when we've ran behind.
Yeah.
And then the food's just a disaster.
Well,
it just gives you a big problem on the evening.
I just want to say this year, you served pie. It was bloody lovely. The amount of fish and chip do's I go to, and they serve fish, and I think that's very brave. If you're a chef and you're catering for 500 people, 400, 300, 200 people, and you know that their gig,
they're all experts.
The thing that gets them out of bed, their drive is fish.
No chance.
I would not want to serve them fish. And sometimes it's not been great. It has not been great.
Yeah.
And when you brought out pie, and sadly my table wasn't full. Some of the guests, there was a problem coming up from the south.
That's
on,
right.
on the East Coast line. Yeah. A couple of people couldn't make it. That meant there was a pie.
Extra pie.
And I'm always trying to drop a dress size. I've been trying to lose weight for 40 years. But I had 2 pies, and it was a really nice pie. But I only had 1 pudding. I could have had 2, but I only had 1 pudding. So again, I congratulate you on not exceeding people's expectations. And that's what you did. And there were so many goodies on the table as well, like so many goodies. It was very well done.
Good.
Is there anything you would like to say to my audience before I let you go? Because I've got 300 fish cakes to make when I finish here, and I feel I've got everything I wanted from our chat today. But I wanted to give you an opportunity, and also, where can people find out more about Paramount? Where do they go to? Some websites, some addresses. Yeah. Can you give me all of that for our listeners before I let you go?
I mean, the obviously we're on here to talk about the Fish and Chip Awards. So I mean, the website's now live. It's at EnglishFishandChipAwards.com. The Instagram's live. It's English Fish and Chip Awards. Facebook's live. It's the English Fish and Chip Awards. But what I would like to say to your listeners is, there's lots of competitions take place across the whole of the UK. Some of them are credible and some of them are not credible. And that's not necessarily fish and chip ones. It's just general business awards and so forth. And I would urge them to do due diligence. I'm very confident that we've been doing this a long, long time. We have a lot of international brands and a lot of industry partners. As you said earlier on, it's not our first rodeo. We're highly versed in what we need to do. We want people to get involved. We know people will. Some people will decide to wait to next year and watch it. But I would say don't wait. Watch some of the videos. Watch some of the stuff that we've done in social media in the Scottish Fish and Chip Awards. Some of the interactive videos we've done. Some of the national press. If you go on and type into Google Scottish Fish and Chip Awards and click on news, I think we were in 39 newspapers, last time I checked. And that's them talking about individual fish and chip shops in individual local areas. So,
and right up to the top of the Aisles, up in Shetland Isles.
Groats, Stornoway, right the way down to the borders. And that's exactly what we're going to do in England. But I think in a time where we're getting told that we shouldn't be patriotic and we shouldn't be proud of where we are, I would say that we will fly the St George's flag for England. It is the English Fish and Chip Awards. And I apologise to Wales and I apologise to Northern Ireland at the moment, but we will be there. We're not forgot about you. There will be a time in the future where we will reach out to you. But for the moment, it's going to be England. And we're searching for England's best fish and chip shop.
We'll bring it back to my home country.
If you're listening to this and you think you make good fish and chips, register. Go to the website today and register for free. We want to hear from you. And we'll come and visit you. And we'll come and speak to you. And we'll come and find out a bit about what you're doing. And we'll give you the stuff to let your public, let the world know about you.
Yep.
That sounds like a good place to end to me. Thank you so much for coming on, giving me some of your time. I know the listener, I've only got one, that will take a lot from this. Like I said, I'm a fan of what you're doing up in Scotland. I think you'll fit in down here just fine. Next time you're in Bury St Edmunds, pop in and I've got some breadcrumbs and I've got some pickles.
We're down at Christmas, and I'll hold you to that.
Oh, yeah.
Is your fish and chip shop in Ely?
Well, I used to have one in Ely, but I've sold that.
Where is it now?
Chatteris, which is about 12 miles from Ely. But I'm at home. My wife's a police officer, and she's working Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and Boxing Day. So I'll just be kicking about Christmas anyway. So if you're down,
I'll hold you to that.
if you're down for Christmas, pop in. You really are on my doorstep. So we can share a beer or something. I don't know. It'd be nice.
Yeah, that'd be lovely. That'd be lovely.
Go to the smallest pub in Bury St Edmunds.
Really? Okay. I look forward to that. I'll hold you to that. And if it doesn't happen, I'll see you in Scotland or in Manchester, whichever. Whichever comes
yes.
We'd love to see you in Manchester. I'm sure we will.
Yeah.
And thanks for all your support. We really appreciate it.
I look forward to it.
Thank you.
All the best.